All right, 3.0 is roll call of school board members. Everyone is present except for Larson. Hank Slavens walking in the door right now. He didn't hit a train, he got caught. All right, so 4.0 is to move to approve the agenda as presented, and I'll do so.
I'll second.
The only addition, and I mentioned it to Lynn just a little bit ago, we're gonna have Sarah Hillier is gonna do a presentation. And so I just wanted that, we'll put that under or after Tiffany and the ASEC presentation.
Any questions or discussion on the agenda? All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I have you marked present.
Okay.
We just got started. Yep. All right, 5.0, communication and reports, and we'll start with ASEC, Tiffany.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Sorry, I need these to see. So this evening, with my helper, I want to share some background about ASIC, but more importantly, I want to explain why we have been working towards the development of an educational learning center and why we believe this regional resource is so needed. ASIC exists because of our 11 member districts, and we recognize all together that there are services and programs we can much better provide effectively together than one district could alone. Most students with disabilities should and do receive their services successfully in their local schools. But we also have a small number of students whose needs require a level of specialized programming that can be difficult for an individual rural district to develop and sustain. The proposed Educational Learning Center is ASIC's cooperative response to that need. For everyone who may not work closely with ASIC, we are a partnership of 11 rural districts that have worked together since 1969, starting off as 22 districts. We service approximately 3,300 square miles, where we support students from birth through their birthday at age 22. Our cooperative model allows our districts to share specialized staff, services, programs, and expertise that would be difficult, and for some of the small districts, impossible for one district to maintain independently. One point I want to emphasize this evening is ASIC is not an outside organization serving East Grand Forks. East Grand Forks is ASIC. There are 11 districts that make up ASIC. We cover a very large rural region, and our districts very differently differ in enrollment, geography, staffing, culture, and because of that, it is unrealistic to expect every district to maintain the highly specialized professional or program that students may need. That is the strength of a cooperative. We build capacity together. And the Educational Learning Center really is just an extension of the same model our districts have successfully had for decades. This slide gets to the heart of why ASIC exists. Together, our districts can provide more than any one district can provide alone. We pool resources, we specialize in various expertise, we provide training and support, and when a need is too specialized, too intensive, or too low incident for one district to responsibly sustain, we have the ability to develop that regional response. That is exactly how we view the Educational Learning Center. Rather than 11 districts independently trying to solve a problem, we have an opportunity to build one strong regional resource together. ASIC already provides a broad spectrum of specialized education support. Our team includes school psychologists, OTs, PTs, educational interpreters, behavior support specialists, and the list goes on. But we also provide evaluation support, early childhood services, assistive technology, due process guidance, training, and compliance support. The Educational Learning Center does not change ASIC's mission, it builds upon this. It fills a level of support that is currently missing in our regional continuum. One thing I always want us to remember is that special education is not a place. It is an individualized system of services and supports. The overwhelming majority of our students, like I shared earlier, receive services successfully in their local school communities. But we do have students with different needs, and those needs require at times a different level of support. The students we are talking about when we discuss an educational learning center represent a very small portion of special education population. These are students whose IEPs may require a level of staffing, structure, environment, and specialized programming that their current setting cannot reasonably provide. This slide helps put this conversation in perspective. Across ASIC, we now serve more than 1,300 students who receive special education services. Over the past 5 years, special education enrollment has increased approximately 18%, while overall student enrollment has only increased by 2.3%. As this number of students continues to grow, we are seeing increasingly complexity in the needs that our students have. And it is our responsibility, each member district, to make sure our regional continuum continues to grow along with these needs. That is one of the primary reasons we have spent so much time over the past several years planning for the Educational Learning Center. This next slide, although little, specifically brings the conversation to East Grand Forks. East Grand Forks currently serves the students shown here on the left. 491 students served. A much smaller number may require highly intensive programming, specialized staffing, or another educational setting. I want to be clear that the projected ELC or Educational Learning Center number here is a planning estimate. It is not a list of students who we expect to attend the Educational Learning Center. No student automatically is placed in a setting 4. Placement remains an individual IEP team decision with parent participation. So that number for East Grand Forks would be approximately 18 students. On the other side of the slide, the right side, are cost examples for one of our most challenging students. When a single student receives intensive programming, and this is required, they may require a licensed teacher, dedicated paraprofessional, specialized space, and additional programming. If an appropriate local option is not available, as a district, we must create it. That can cost upwards of about $117,000 just for staffing alone. If we can't create something within the district, we now have the responsibility to find elsewhere. It can cost over $200,000 to find placement for a student elsewhere within the state. I think it's important to define what a setting 4 is.
One quick question. So with that, when you say you have to place them, is it our responsibility to do that? Or is it like the state's responsibility, or
It's the school district's responsibility to pay for the educational piece.
whatever district they're in, they're responsible for sending? If you can't provide what you need to here, you're responsible to provide
Yeah.
a space for them. Okay.
And I personally have had 8-year-olds sent to St. Charles Children's Home for 8 months at a time because there was nothing here and that was the closest.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about some misconceptions. A setting 4 is a public separate day school option within the special education curriculum. It serves a small number, so about 3.5% of your most intense students within East Grand Forks. It is not discipline, it is not punishment, and it's not where we simply send a student because they have an IEP. Placement, like I said earlier, is dependent on the IEP team and the decision of parent participation. The question for an IEP team remains the same at every level of the continuum. What setting allows our student to receive FAPE, free appropriate public education? Where can that student continue to make progress? And where do they receive services in their least restrictive environment to meet their individual needs? This slide gets to the core of why ASIC even began this work. Special education requires access to a continuum of placement options. And I want to emphasize this placement options. It's not a ladder, but it is a path that students can move in and out of, dependent on their specific needs. The most closest place for us is over 100 miles away, to put that in some perspective of where setting 4 is. So our region, I know, has some incredibly strong programs at many levels. Most students can receive exactly what they need in our local communities. But we have a gap here at ASIC. We are actually the only region in the entire state that does not have a setting 4 program, a public separate day school. And this matters because when an IEP team determines that a student needs that level of support, we are responsible to have it for them or to find the closest nearby program. The goal of the Educational Learning Center is not to place more students in a setting 4. The goal is to make sure that the appropriate option exists when a student needs it. It fills that missing level in our regional continuum, and it gives all 11 member districts access to that public option closer to home so students can stay in our communities.
No?
No, back one. There you go.
Okay.
The Educational Learning Center does not create a new special education obligation for our districts. Those responsibilities, I'd like to point out, already exist. Our member districts must provide FAPE. They must implement IEPs. They must make individual placement decisions and educate students in their least restrictive environment, as well as ensure access to the continuum. That is our federal and state obligation. But it also doesn't mean that each of our districts must independently operate and create this type of programming. It just means that the appropriate services and placements must be available when a student needs them. That is where our current regional gap matters. ASIC does not currently have a local public school day program within our continuum. The cooperative model allows our 11 districts to address that gap together. The Educational Learning Center does not create an obligation. We see it as it gives our districts another way to meet the obligation we already have. The immediate driving force behind the Educational Learning Center is the setting 4 programming. The Educational Learning Center would give member districts access to that public school day special education setting for students whose IEP teams determine they need the most intensive daily support. The first thing that comes to our mind is behavior. It allows for students who need the most intensive instruction, safe therapeutic environment to have a specialized place to go to school. Autism programming, specialized programming with predictable routines, sensory supports, communication supports, and individual strategies for students with significant autism-related needs. Transition programming. In many areas of Northwest Minnesota right now, there's a 1.5-year wait list at Volk Rehab. We would be able to provide programming for students 18 to 22, helping develop employment skills, independent living, and community access, preparing them for adult life. Early intervention and home visiting, a centralized location to support young children and families where they are when they may feel that it is not safe to have people in their home. And it's also a place for ASIC staff and a service hub, a central location for ASIC to gather, have professional development, and be able to coordinate services across all of the member districts. Bringing these programs into one building creates more than a facility. It creates shared regional capacity that individual rural districts would struggle to build on their own. So here's what the board always likes to know. I also want to walk through the financial side of the project because it's an important part of the decision-making process for our member district. The current projected construction cost is approximately $12.48 million. This past spring, we received $6.5 million in state bonding support. We were the 3rd school district or cooperative in Minnesota state history to receive such funding. This significantly reduces the amount our 11 member districts will need to finance. The remaining amount is currently estimated at approximately 5.98 million. That remaining cost is shared across the cooperative rather than falling on one district. The current model uses cooperative lease levy of 65 per pupil and distributes the cost based on district enrollments. In other words, each district portion reflects its relative size within ASIC. For East Grand Forks, you can see the estimated annual amount of tax impact on this slide. So for your annual tax impact of your average home is $20.79. These remain planning estimates. Construction costs, as we know, financing, enrollment, and other assumptions can change before everything is finalized. The larger point is that the combination of significant state investment and shared regional approach gives our rural districts an opportunity to build something that would be very difficult for anyone to develop on their own.
So it's $20 a year.
Correct. For East Grand Forks average home. I want to end where we started. ASIC is not separate from East Grand Forks or any other member districts. ASIC is the collective work of its 11 member districts. Our districts shape the cooperative, they benefit from the cooperative, and together we share responsibility for its success. That partnership already provides specialized professionals, services, programming, and expertise across our region. The Educational Learning Center is another example of that partnership in action. 11 rural districts working together to strengthen the continuum for our students and their families. Our mission has always been resources invested in children. And to all of us, that is exactly what this project represents.
So the question kind of is what's next? And so Tiffany is going to each board doing the same presentation. But what is going to happen is we have to pledge to be in, so to speak. And so there's going to be a resolution that we have to pass, I think, at the next board meeting, which we will levy. Okay, again, this isn't one that has to go to a voter. In 23, the legislature changed so that cooperatives could do this. We'll keep planning, and then there's a group, what do you want to call it, steering group or whatever.
Project oversight.
That's project oversight that is looking at all the options, where it's going to be, what it's going to be, so on and so forth. And eventually we'll decide that, but each district out of the 11 we're in. And if you're not in, you're out, so to speak. And so again, I didn't bring it, but a couple of years ago, the year prior to me, Hackbarth brought to the board signed on that we want to be part of this. And so we're going through that process. If the levy amount changes, then come December, just like our normal levy, we can back out if it, or reduce if you would or whatever, but we have to get it on the books now. So in the next month, like I say, I think at our next meeting, it'll come to you. And so it's kind of timely that this comes. And yeah, we can't say exactly whether we're going to have one site, two sites, whether we're going to get into an older building, whether we're going to build brand new. It's looking at all options. And like I say, you have a representative, every soup has a vote in that.
So what's the timeline of that process in which you?
Very soon. I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, within probably the next 2 months, the decision, am I wrong, Tiffany, or?
That's what I said last week.
Yeah.
Within 2 months, I would even say even less, you'll know if it's renovating a building, if that's what the group has chosen, or building brand new.
Do we know the location at this point? What community?
It's all open. I mean,
Okay.
let's just be honest. I mean, if you're looking across the district.
Yep.
Or I shouldn't say district, the co-op. Crookston is what's been talked about. They actually had a piece of land. That piece of land has actually been kind of used up. And so we're still looking at options. There's been some conversation. Could we do 2 spots kind of on each end? But again, it hasn't come, the tough part is, and again, I'm going to speak for East Grand. We're the biggest district. We're roughly just under 2,000, but there's 6,000 kids represented too. So it just doesn't mean, you got to keep that in mind that, there's several groups going, that's not the best for our location necessarily being East Grand, and so again, that's part of a cooperative. We're going to work through the process, see what happens. And Obviously, everyone has to advocate for their own district, but that's the tough part.
What happens if a district doesn't want
Well, then,
to do this? Then they don't get this.
well,
service?
the other
Like,
thing
makes
is,
that work.
so what happens is even like you saw the cost distribution.
Yeah.
Just say we could service, and I'm picking a number, 60 kids. Maybe out of our districts, we only have 40 kids that are actually, and what I'm talking about is like 60 in the behavior part. Let's say we only have 40. Well, we're gonna get 20 kids coming from outside districts. So meaning, that aren't in ASIC. And so the model would be, okay, just say it costs us, I'm using a rough number, 100,000 to put a kid for the year in that building. They might pay 140,000. They're not gonna pay the same as the member districts. So the same thing goes as ASEC is around and runs this center. Hopefully our cost goes down. You see what I'm saying? It'll go down proportionally. Yeah, and I mean, at least that's, we're in the process of getting everything in place, but that's the reality of it. That's why we can't get in anywhere. Like Fargo has, we haven't been able to get students in. They're full. Yeah, and so the reality is if you build it, unless, it's too far away to go, they'll come, we'll fill it. And that's the unfortunate part is, you're kind of planning, but on the other hand, we don't think the member districts want to double the size and double the cut. Yeah, you kind of got to live within, we're living within that $65 of what we can get. Obviously down the road, if it becomes a money generator, maybe you do add on, maybe you do add another site or rent space somewhere. Yeah, you got to start somewhere. And that's, I guess, is that a fair statements?
Do you feel it? Your question?
Well, let's say the Thief River was like, nah, we're not gonna be part of it.
Thief
So-
River
isn't.
Okay, well.
Okay, Fisher.
Fisher, there you go.
If Fisher didn't want to be part
Yeah,
of the actual educational learning center,
yes.
they still have a responsibility as a member of ASIC to pay a portion of the building because that's ASIC's home, just like they pay a portion of our rent currently at the
Okay.
senior high.
They just wouldn't have as.
They wouldn't have access to the programs there, so they'd have to pay the non-member rates. If they need
Okay, that
location
makes.
for their-
sense.
their students.
So no, regardless of what happens,
Yeah,
they're paying.
Yeah.
we're paying no matter what.
Kids going.
Yeah, but we're gonna have kids going there and all that stuff. So it's like, we're gonna have kids going there, so just be a part of it. Pretty simple.
That's because that's our proportion.
Yeah,
kid.
for kids, yeah, okay. We just are bigger. Yeah, no, okay, I get it. Yep. I don't know.
Yep, I think it's 34% East Grand Forks.
Yeah, 33.6, yeah. It's a lot. But yeah, no, it makes sense, so.
Sorry if I missed this. What is our goal for having it opened? The timeline?
If we were to renovate a building, it's 13 months. If we were to build new, it's 22 from the time that we find land.
Okay.
It's not soon enough. I mean, I think everyone,
Right.
would, but the
Yeah.
reality is
It-
we're.
It's great to see
Sooner
it.
than I had.
So we were,
2 years ago.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, when we signed that, for those of us who were on the board, I think we were hoping like this would have come then, right? But this is coming now, so here we are.
We're
Needed
gonna
the
have
funding
A whole bunch of
first.
taxes, might as well do it all at once.
That's $20.
So anyway, that's why,
Yeah.
like I say, you'll be seeing a resolution coming. If there
Perfect.
are specific questions that pop in your head, let us know, but,
Then ASAC, you would staff it or would the districts?
No.
be
ASIC staff it, yeah.
Staff it, okay.
Any other questions?
I don't know.
Thank you.
You all.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
thank you.
All right, next, we're gonna hear from Sarah Hillier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can do it.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Sarah Hillier. I am the Family Consumer Sciences teacher here at the high school. For a while, I've kind of been brainstorming about possibly finding an educational tour to link to my courses. So I primarily teach food-based courses, and EF Educational Tours does offer culinary-based tours. And I was able to reach out to one of their representatives and I talked to her about the culture and cuisine tour of Northern Italy. There was some other options, but I felt like students are probably most familiar with Italian food. You know, they want to cook fettuccine Alfredo like every other day. So it's a good idea to kind of get them in that mood for it. If you look on the first page, it's just kind of a very brief overview of what the tour would include. There's 4 guided sightseeing tours. So yes, we would sightsee. We would see parts of Italy that are world renowned, but you also get to do more of that farm to table experience. So we get to go to a local vineyard. You go to the Parma region and learn how Parmesan cheese is made. There is an old tradition on how you make balsamic vinegar, which is quintessential to Italian food. So we get to go learn about that kind of thing. There's a chocolate tasting. There's even a coffee. I forget they get to basically be their own. Thank you, barista for the day. And I know kids love coffee, so I thought that would be kind of fun. The overall idea about me presenting this to you guys today is just to kind of get you informed that this is something that I would like to do along with Mr. Lohr's help. There is no cost to you. The students would fundraise on their own. The price is about $233 per month or $5,679 total. They would have roughly 2 years to fundraise. We're looking at approximately July 16th through the 27th of 2028 to do this tour. I don't have to get, a set number of students, just whoever wants to come. Primarily, I think it'd be students mainly from my culinary arts classes, my IFACS classes, which we have food in, and then my culture and cuisine class. So it's kind of what I'm
You
thinking.
need chaperones.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, for every 6 students, you need 1 chaperone. So I would be obviously one. I've had several people volunteer as a chaperone, so I'm not worried on that part. It's just getting the students to agree to it. Yeah,
Would it be a certain age? Sorry, would it be a certain age or could it be anybody? at
I think
the
it would,
high school level?
I have not discussed that with Mr. Lohr. I would think probably 16,
Sure.
at least 16 at the time that we go.
It's would have graduated in May of that year.
Go in July.
Sure.
Let's say they're a junior this year and a senior the year after that, then they graduate, we'd probably let them go because they've been for the fundraising the whole time.
Sure.
We wouldn't let a 21-year-old go, I graduated 4 years.
Right. Right.
That was 2028.
Right, yeah.
Sorry,
Sure.
2028.
2028.
Probably have to be an 11th grader or 12th.
Yes,
Back.
yes.
Sure.
Sure. Is this something you'd look at just a one-time deal or consecutive years or?
I don't know. Like I said, there are other places you can tour. There's this one. There's also a Southern Italy. There's France. There's places in China. I think Hong Kong was one. I thought we'd start with something small and then see what kind of response we get. And then if
Sure.
I think this is.
That's
cool.
great, yeah.
Sign
I
me up.
agree.
got another volunteer to chaperone.
Lord,
Okay,
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Wonderful.
awesome.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you.
All right, 5.3 is administration and department heads. We'll start with Superintendent Grover.
Okay, you have several things. First of all, if I missed anyone, I should have left a couple, activity passes, a little more, on top of it this year. I put it on my calendar. Someone emailed, but, other than them, we're already on it. You also should have gotten a door fob, which should work at all buildings. Am I correct? Once this building, the system is going live here, it might not work quite yet. Most doors, like the front door isn't done yet. So anyway, but the point being is occasionally, something's locked or we have certain meetings or whatever, but you have one, there it is. Any issues, let us know. So that's that. I left a couple things from MSBA, just they come in the mail. Any questions, let me know or something, but I just left them for you. Referendum kind of update. I'm doing a welcome back tomorrow, and we will do a presentation to all staff. So just kind of giving you a heads up. We've set some dates. I want the board aware. Josh and Lynn have kind of volunteered to help as much as possible on certain ones. And I'm just gonna go through on August 31st, the task force is coming back together in this room. And so that's our first one. We're gonna hash out where we landed, answer questions, kind of talk about some of the stuff that we have going on. Such as we have a float in the potato bowl or potato, whatever it is, getting banned.
Potato bowl.
And so, some of the stuff we're doing and I'm sure we want to try and keep them engaged, at least some of them that are willing. September 21st, we're going to be inviting business owners in throughout the community. I actually met with Barry from the chamber at a meeting today. He's going to help get that word out. And again, my other piece is we're going to work on kind of a save the date type deal that I'm hoping to have, I will have to you guys at the next meeting. So if you have some friends that may be business, sometimes that extra nod, hey, you should have gotten this, if they're a member of the chamber at least. I mean, I don't have a list of who is and who isn't. It'll go to their mail list. It'll actually go to, he said he originally was just gonna do it East Side businesses, but at least one of the posts is gonna go out to all of the chamber because there are people on the other side that have business over here and the same with,
Mhm.
people here that may have business over there. So, that's September 21. September 30th, we're gonna do at New Heights, we're gonna call it a town hall, where again, mainly it's the same presentation, but we invite the public, and not just people that have kids at New Heights. We're choosing to do one New Heights, one at CMS. If for some reason there's a huge demand, we could obviously add. So the September 30th is New Heights. We had to change, originally I'd sent out October 5th, but we're gonna do October 6th is gonna be at the middle school. Then new to me, I'm just not that tech savvy, but on October 19th, we're gonna do a Facebook Live. And so I've never done that. Obviously, Nexus will help us and get through that piece of it. Again, all of this is gonna go out in a mailing that goes to all of our district people. So that's why we kind of got to get these set ahead of time. And so anyway, I didn't bring, I do have, for the most part, like say, we gotta be careful, we can't have all 6 board members
Mhm.
at these, we end up, so like I say, Lynn and Josh have volunteered to help on a good chunk. I will throw out, and I'm just throwing out, the September 21st could use, Josh can make that, Lynn can't, but we could use one and again, we can have 3, if someone else. The October 6th, I haven't, again, because we had October 5th, but we ran into, there were 2 events going on at the middle school. So we thought having it at the same time when parking's such an issue. So I am looking for a couple, at least 2 on October 6th. Otherwise, I think we're filled up. Like say, if someone really wants to attend one, let us know. We could have 3 without breaking the open meeting.
You can pencil me in, Kevin. if
Okay,
something
on
comes
the
up.
21st or the 6th?
You could do both.
Okay.
And I gotta check my schedule still, but just pencil me in.
What time is it on the 21st?
We did 6 o'clock on all of them.
Okay.
Keep it consistent.
If anybody wanted to take my place on the 31st, I have a family birthday party.
Well, just because
Yeah.
again, we'll take you off the 31st if
Okay.
someone. And again, I don't need answers right now or whatever. And again, you'll get copies of these dates coming up.
Okay.
But, so
The-
31st and the 6th really are,
I can do the,
The 21st, you said, right?
well, I got you
The-
down for the 21st. So I have Josh and Matt on the 21st. So at least have 2. It looks good.
Yeah.
The board has.
yeah.
It's the community task force that's getting back together on August 31st.
It'd be nice
Then-
to have one more if we
I
could.
don't think I can do that one, but
Just look at your schedule.
yeah.
And,
Okay.
and then
I
one
should
more
like that one, but I don't think I can do that one.
is 6 o'clock.
You.
And that one will be
Matt.
here.
I think I could do this
Okay.
at 6.
And just so everybody knows, I did get a hold of KNOX and they'll get back to me on a date.
Okay,
So-
to do a.
Yep.
Okay, yep, and we got, like I said, some other things rolling, like I said, we got banners being printed, have a, driver for the bus gonna actually follow. Knock on wood, we think we're gonna follow right behind the band, which will be
Oh,
up front, so
yeah.
it'll be,
Be good.
won't have lost,
Interest by then?
That
we're crossing our
makes
fingers.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway, that's that. What's that?
I'm like, you're in a bus, just
There's
get
a
in
van in there, like 2 weeks, 2 years ago, there was like a van just driving.
You pass these. Sorry, I forgot
Hey,
to
like,
pass these out.
Went around a
to
bit
you.
here and we're just
Um,
sticking it.
we had talked, we were talking last time about enrollments. And so Nancy helped me pull the last 3 years, mainly for elementary through fifth grade. And then the back page is, and again, I just listed them where we're at currently. And when I say currently, it does still change because well, we've had added, I saw a couple go homeschool, so it's changing. But I guess I just wanted you to know, for instance, and I'm just gonna start on the left. So that is as of the 20th, we were at 21.7 for an average for kindergarten. Okay, that includes the super K. But then I also put over where we were last year. The box numbers are where we were last year and what we
Oh, here.
approved, when we were budgeting. And then on the right is, so I'm just throwing it out there, kindergarten's up 8 kids since we created the
So
budget
it's
in sections. You follow going across? So first grade is up 7. Their average right now is 21.8. Again, that was as of whatever the 20th was last week. Second grade is at 23.7. It's up 7. And then if you look at 3, 4, and 5 have changed, well, 3 hasn't changed at all. Not to say we didn't add and lose one or whatever, but the net is 0. Fourth is up 1 kid and fifth is up 3. Now, if you look back on the first page, like I say, you can look back
This is-
3 years and look at, I mean, it's a little higher, some of them. But the other thing that I just want to put the caveat is I also took the last 5 years where we started and where you ended. For instance, like last year, we started at head count, 1965, we ended at 1894. You go back to 21-22, you started in 1923, you went to 1858. That sheet that on an annual basis or on a monthly basis that Nancy puts together, I found one year where you dropped 10 kids. That was the least I could find. So that's the tough part to say, again, I don't have an answer for you, other than I think we see who shows up on Tuesday and go from there. I mean, so for instance,
Thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
so if there are questions or something else, you want, but like I said, at least it shows you where we were at when we made the decision and a few years back, like I said, I didn't have experience other than the last 2, obviously, and
And there's 7 sections right now? In kindergarten?
well,
6,
well,
right?
if you count super,
6.
it's
It's 6.
correct.
So,
Yeah.
so is this number on these including Super K?
It says 8 with super K. So this- Oh,
Uh,
No, no,
No, she's asking if this page
This-
is super K and
this
with this
page.
number.
Thing,
Super K is not there,
Okay,
but actually as I'm getting into it, numbers and super K is in here, but it pretty much stays the same.
Sure.
The whole year, so it doesn't really, that.
sure.
again, if it's at 19, guess it would slightly bring the number down a little, I can
Yeah.
take super K out.
But it's relatively like in the ballpark.
Yeah,
Right.
because 20 is the max, kind of the max we've shot for, kind of
Yeah.
like a preschool, but,
Has any grade went down in kids?
right now,
Yeah.
not that I'm aware of. Now, whether they all show up like at our admin meeting on Friday, I didn't ask, like with open house, I don't know if every class keeps track, obviously, hey, 18 out of my 22 kids showed up. Well, the 4 that didn't, do we know yet? And that didn't think of asking,
Mhm.
bringing those numbers ahead of time. Same thing at the high school or middle school, every family doesn't attend, but until we know
Till you get through that first week of school,
first, yeah.
when you start really realizing who's not showing up.
So anyway, that is what kind of what we talked about, pulling some numbers, and like I say, it does change every day. There's no doubt about it right now. Anything else on this?
No.
On a good note, custodial word is getting out. We've actually got, and again, I thank everyone. I'll thank tomorrow at the welcome, people that have, helped out, and whether it's getting word out. They have 3+ applicants that are, unless something changes, we should be full staff. We're down 2 right now, if I recall. So, hold my breath, we'll actually maybe be full staffed, for the start, which, I mean, so again, people that have spread the word, push people to apply, whatever, that's good. Bus drivers were full too. Didn't lose anyone over the summer, knock on wood.
Like you should
Um,
have said that.
So that's good. Negotiations, just to bring the group up, we have paras. And if you recall, before summer started, they said they weren't gonna be ready, even though the contract is expired. They were having some challenges with their union representation or whatever. I did reach out to the president today, got a word back that they're actually switching the union they belong to. They'll be joining, at least unless their group goes a different direction, but said they're gonna try joining Ed Minnesota. And they would get us dates of when we could, possibly start some discussion. So as I know more, I will let you know more. And then the last thing I have is we did, well, about 1.5 years ago, did a contract with Signature Graphics to be what I'm gonna call kind of the sole provider at events here, for Greenwave merchandise. That contract is up. There was a clause to work with our Wave Shop. We actually don't have the Wave Shop class this year, but even prior to that, we've agreed to go to a rental agreement, not whether you want to work with that group or not. The question comes out is, we tried this. We've had one other group interested, and I'm just asking the board, I don't need an answer. Do we want to do like an RFP and let any group, I don't know what a going rate is. I'm just being honest. Now, it doesn't mean you have the sole work of the district. I mean, we've still had, maybe a team buy something from BSN Sports or something. It's just having a premise here. We don't have 2 or 3 groups at a basketball game. They get the ticket booth or whatever you call it down there. You have one group, and so again, I'm just looking for guidance from the board of what you want to do. Cause again, we tried something, I'll be honest, I'm happy to, I bought several things. It's an easy place to get Greenwave stuff.
Mhm.
I think we want to continue. It's just a matter of what's the board, I mean, as a public, entity, do we,
I think competition is always good because it helps, drive the costs of those types of things down. We've kind of done the same thing with some other things that we've done throughout the district, and I don't see why we wouldn't do the same thing with
Yeah.
this.
I can think of probably a handful of companies within the greater Grand Forks area that would probably jump at the chance, so I think that RFP is appropriate.
it's just a
Request for proposal.
So what it would be, and I'll just be honest, we'd put, kind of, and then let them come back with, what are you offering? Cause again, I'll be honest, the last one we did 20% of sales. Whether that's good, bad, or different, that's one way of doing it. Someone may come and say, I'll give you $500 a month,
Mhm.
$300 a month. I don't know
Yep.
what the number is, and so we'll have to figure out how to, rank it, because, I don't know how to guess, exactly what sales are,
Sure.
Right.
but instead of us just saying 200 a month, first come, first, it'll give whatever business. I mean, theoretically, it would be someone local because they're gonna man it.
Mhm.
So I would think, I don't think you're gonna get a group out of Texas.
No.
No.
Oh, we'll keep it local.
What's that? I don't know. Well, and again, you have the right to accept or reject. all.
Right.
So if that's the case, I will probably put something together and put it out,
Yes.
with hopefully a fairly short turnaround. So if they want to get going, they're not going to make the first events, obviously. But, they get in on the fall seasons here, they can get going. And it might be the same, might be different.
Did you say the current contract has expired or is it going to?
No, it actually expired back in, I want to say February, and we've kind of been working and haven't gotten any, and so
Would we continue to work without a contract until? the
we
next
probably
one is in
could
place?
until the
Just
next
to have
one.
something there?
Yeah, we probably, if they're willing to,
Okay.
That gets.
That
the
gets scary.
liability.
Yeah.
But are they working right now?
Well, they have been, there's,
That's-
they have insurance, it's just like, it's just we haven't come to a new contract yet. But again, it's just for our events, and I specify that because if there's other events like when, YBA.
YBA
that's
comes
not
in.
considered a school
Yeah.
event, so whoever YBA wants to do,
Mhm.
it's for our events.
Sure.
Or like, I'm just throwing it out, we're working with the arts and crafts group to do, the craft show or whatever that's in the fall, because the arenas are down, they're gonna use middle school, and who they bring in and then whether someone sells, that's a different situation,
Sure.
but this is just at high school. That is, I think, all I have right now, other than, it's mainly working on go for first day of school.
Mhm.
It's been a busy summer, but it's been good.
Good. Any questions for Kevin? No. Good. No committee reports. So 6.0 is the consent agenda, and I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. 7.0 is for opportunities for citizens to speak, and I don't see any. 8.0 is district business. 9.0 is payment, there isn't any district business. Wow. 9.0 is payment of claims and accounts.
I'll make the motion to approve the K-12 bills 132-155 through 132-218 and the electronic fund transfers in the amount of $398,725.46.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion on the bills? All those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 10.0 is board member comments. Amanda, I'll start with you this time.
I'm excited for the first day of school. That's all I have today.
Okay.
Sorry.
Lindsay?
I have nothing tonight.
Fall activities in full swing. We got a lot of games starting, Thursday, Friday, football next week. Go out, support the kids if you can.
Just good luck to all the teachers and staff for the start of the school year. Hope it's a great one.
I'll second that. I have nothing but happiness coming my way when fall starts. No, it'll be a great school year. Good weather, great school year. Be good. 11.0, the next Board of Education meeting is scheduled for September 14th at 5:30 in this very room. And I'm going to adjourn this session because we're going to have a closed session. So all those in favor of, okay?
Yep, you need a motion a second. We didn't put it on there to go into closed session.
Okay.
and-
I'll make a motion to close the session.
I'll second.
All those in favor of closing the session, say aye.
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 Any opposed?